Well, hello everyone and welcome back to another theme park obsession video. My name is Dylan and thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. As you can see, I'm back in the theme park obsession office because I wanted to talk about some theme park news, predominantly the Disney and Universal stuff, because there's a few news related items going on, and instead of just being in the park, I figure, well, why not be in this park instead? The classic theme park obsession office. So without further ado, let's talk about some of the latest news in today's video and dive right in. So let's just start off with Disney. The latest news coming out of Walt Disney World is that the Villains Land is moving forward, which is great. The South Florida Water Management District just approved all of Disney's plans for the expansion. Well, they're kind of the replacement because they are replacing Rivers of America with the Cars Land. Villains Land kind of is going beyond the berm, so I guess that would be more considered an expansion, if anything. But that entire project, the Cars Land and Villains Land project, is going to be moving forward to the next step, which hopefully will be the preliminary construction, just like we're seeing over at Animal Kingdom with Tropical Americas, which, by the way, Tropical Americas is supposed to open up in 2027, and I really hope they can meet that deadline. With the Cars Land and Villains Land, we don't have an opening time frame for that. They've just said that they're going to be starting construction here very, very soon. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Disney does not slack on these projects, because I would love to enjoy Villains Land while I'm still alive. That would be awesome, because lately Disney has been taking their sweet time with some of the projects, like Tron. Tron took forever and a day to be constructed and finally open up to the public. So I'm hoping that because of the pressure from Universal, Disney can ramp up uh, the timeline here and open Villains Land and Cars Land and Tropical Americas in just, an overall timely manner. So the fact that the Water Management District has approved Disney's plans, because there's a big environmental impact with these new additions, right? At Magic Kingdom, the fact that they've approved all that is a good sign. So hopefully by the summer, we'll see some heavy equipment show up and they'll really start getting to work on these new additions to Magic Kingdom. Out of all the new things announced for Walt Disney World, the Villains Land is my most anticipated. I mean, you all know how I am with the Dark Universe world at Epic Universe opening up this summer. I'm super stoked for that because I'm a huge Halloween guy and horror guy. So the fact that Disney's doing their own spin on that, on the scary stuff, is awesome. And I'm sure it's been on the table for them for years. But the fact that they're finally doing it is a huge win for us horror fanatics and villains fanatics. So I'm glad the ball is moving on that project. They have to. I mean, they have to compete. So yes, let's get the Villains Land open as soon as possible. They can totally meet an early 2028 time frame. 2.5 years to construct something like that is very doable. It's a monumentous task, but they've done it in the past before. I mean, look at Galaxy's Edge. Galaxy's Edge was built pretty quickly, so I think they could do the same with Villains Land. Villains Land is roughly the same size as Galaxy's Edge. I believe they're both 14 acres. Uh, they each will have, they each have two attractions, and they're going to have shops and restaurants. So they're very, very similar. And if Disney built Galaxy's Edge very quickly, I don't see why they couldn't do the same for Villains Land. Cars Land, on the other hand, is a lot smaller, so maybe that one will be open a little bit sooner, or they might open these together as one big giant reveal, which would also be really cool. That would be some amazing competition for the rest of the space nearby, and really force Universal to keep uh, pushing the boundaries, which I believe they will continue to push the boundaries because it's Universal. And if Disney continues at this pace, I wouldn't be shocked if by the end of the year we start seeing some structural steel show up. Again, totally doable. We've seen these companies do it before. When we see how fast Universal works with all their new projects, I mean, they built Diagon Alley in roughly 2 years. So I think Disney can do the same with the Cars Land and Villains Land additions to Magic Kingdom, which in itself is really cool because then Magic Kingdom's now getting 4 new attractions. I am a little bummed out, like I've mentioned before here on the channel, that they're getting rid of the Rivers of America. I still am a firm believer that they could have kept the Rivers of America, plussed it up like they did at Disneyland, and then add to Magic Kingdom with Cars Land and Villains. They totally could have expanded the footprint of Magic Kingdom, but Disney doesn't want to upkeep the Rivers of America, so they just saw it as a place to easily get rid of something and maybe make it more efficient. which I get to a degree, but yeah, it's a bummer when they get rid of stuff like that. And I wish there was more people that had the same opinions as I do, because I know there's a lot of people online. They're like, no, the Rivers of America is boring and Tom Sawyer's Island is boring. It's like that's not the point. The point is like the overall aesthetic and the beauty of that area. They could have totally kept it. If they would have gotten rid of all that at Disneyland, there would have been this huge uproar. So I wish they would have kept the Rivers of America, and hopefully moving forward with future projects, beyond Villains Land and Cars Land and all that stuff. Like, I hope they really take in consideration the park aesthetics, what makes these parks unique. I hope they don't lose sight of all that kind of stuff, because the new rides are awesome, but you got to keep what makes the theme park special within the park. So, uh, yeah, fingers crossed they don't do anything crazy in the future. We are getting some new leaderships here soon. Bob Iger's out in 2026, and I'm sure there'll be some more leadership changes beyond that. So hopefully some good stuff. And then over at Animal Kingdom, the Tropical Americas land is moving along really nicely. Demolition is moving quick, which shocking. Again, we're so used to what Disney was doing the past couple of years with Tron and Guardians of the Galaxy, and in the middle of Epcot, that seeing this demo happen very quickly is quite surprising. So if they keep up the pace, they totally could meet a 2027 deadline for Tropical Americas, because we're getting the new Encanto attraction, the new Carousel attraction, and then the refurb of the reimagining of Indiana Jones, or Dinosaur to Indiana Jones. So they can totally do that. I think the Indy project is going to be the biggest pain in the rear, because you have to go into something that's already existing and really change up the look. But then again, Encanto might be the biggest pain in the rear, depending on the size of the attraction. We really have no idea how large the attraction is going to be. There's still a lot of mystery surrounding Encanto. I just hope it's really good. I've heard things that it's going to be a boat ride. I've heard that's going to be an Omnimover attraction. Disney's been a little hush-hush about it. But overall, the construction process is moving along over at Tropical Americas. And maybe by the end of this year, we'll see a leveled out area and the beginnings of, structural steel. Go ahead and comment down below, though, out of all the projects, out of those 3 projects, Tropical Americas, Cars Land, and Villains Land, which one are you most excited for? Because, for me, it's Villains Land. I cannot wait to step foot inside Villains Land. I'm really curious what the attractions are going to be. I've heard a roller coaster and a dark ride. So when it comes to the roller coaster, since I'm a huge coaster enthusiast, what kind of coaster are we looking at? Are we looking at another Vekoma product? Are we looking at a high thrill coaster? Are we looking at more of a family style coaster? I would dig another high thrill coaster at Magic Kingdom. I think Disney World needs more of them, even though we just got Tron and Guardians of the Galaxy. I think we need another one. Give us another high thrill coaster. That would be awesome. So we shall see. And if anything, I would love for them to reuse that spinning concept that they've done over at Cosmic Rewind at Epcot. They can do something cool with the villains, like the storytelling coaster concept. Yeah, I'm all for that. And then when it comes to the dark ride, I'm sure it's going to be a trackless system. Super ambitious. At least I hope it's super ambitious. It's the villains. Come on, give us like something massive like Rise of the Resistance, featuring all the villains. That would be really cool. It just depends on. See, like my thing is, if the Monsters Unchained attraction at Epic Universe is insane, which I have a feeling it's going to be, then Disney's going to have a lot of pressure to do something really cool with the Villains Dark Ride. So I'm really holding out for some amazing villain stuff. And Disney, I think they will deliver. If they really want to put their money where their mouth is, then I think they can deliver. One more thing before I start talking about the parks here. Disney has to build this stuff fast. I feel like they have no choice because of all the bad press that they've gotten when they were building Tron and Guardians of the Galaxy, and then the Epcot editions, or in the center of Epcot. It took them way too long, and I feel like everyone in the industry knows that. So Disney has to redeem themselves. They can't rest on their laurels because of the competition. Universal builds out their things so fast that it's incredible. whoever they're working with, like whoever their contractors are and whoever they're working with like internally, I mean, shout out to all of them because they get the job done fast. So Disney needs to do the same thing. And I know, like I was just saying, I know they're capable of doing it. So if they can build out these projects quickly, they can get them open, start making more money, and then work on the next set of projects. You know, they can keep the ball rolling. Because after Epic Universe opens, Universal is going to continue to do what they're going to do to, you know, expand. They're not going to just stop. They're going to go back to their other parks. They might work on the Studios Park. They might work on Islands of Adventure, and they might work on Volcano Bay. So, yeah, Disney has to really show the audience that, hey, no, we're in this to compete. We can build these projects really quickly, and we want you to come back to the parks to experience them. So I'm really looking forward to the construction progress. And when I visit Walt Disney World, I'll definitely document it because I love documenting the new stuff. So yeah, we shall see how it all plays out, especially with the the really fierce competition from Universal. I wanted to talk about the festival, the food festivals, really quickly: Flower and Garden and the Food and Wine. Food and Wine here at California Adventure starts in just a few days at the time of making this video. And I gotta be honest, because I'm always keeping it real here, I am not impressed with the menu. Go ahead and comment down below if you've read the menu for this year's Food and Wine Festival at California Adventure, but I am not digging it. I feel like it's 400 different churros, 600 different horchatas, and maybe a dozen different mac and cheeses with a bunch of different things on them. And I'm like, you know, oh, and chicken wings. It's like, I want there to be some variety. There needs to be some different stuff. It's the Food and Wine Festival. And another thing I noticed is there's a lot more drinks than there is food. Like, and I'm talking alcoholic beverages, non-alcoholic beverages, and I get that, you know, there's wine in the food and wine mix, but the beverage aspect of it totally dominates the food. Like at the marketplace booths that are along the parade corridor, there's only 13 food items at those booths this year. And I think a few of them are returning items. The rest of the items, which is over, I think, 30, almost 40 different items, are beverages. And a lot of those beverages you cannot get on your tasting lanyard. You have to pay extra for them. So, yeah, I'm a bit disappointed in that. I wish, one, Disney would include more beverages on the sip and savor passes. They should just include the alcoholic beverages. Other parks do. I feel like they can totally get away with that, or just limit them. You know, like you can get 2 alcoholic beverages on your tasting lanyard, and then that's it. I think they can totally do something like that. But the fact that the majority of the items this year are beverages, I don't know, just kind of disappointing. And yeah, as much as I love churros and all that kind of stuff, I want to see more with Food and Wine. Because last year's Food and Wine was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it, as well as some of my friends that joined me. It was great, especially some of the desserts that were really, really good. Some of you that have been watching the channel for a while know that last year we really enjoyed that mimosa flight. And then that cobbler, that like dessert, that was like a berry cobbler, that was really good. Some of the mac and cheeses were good too. And then they also had some just unique items. This year I feel like they're just bringing back a lot of the same stuff, but just with some different spices on it. You know, I don't know. I'm not really impressed with the menu for Food and Wine. Now, Flower and Garden, on the other hand, at Epcot, oh, dude. Flower and Garden is the event to be at this season if you're doing a Disney food festival. If you're traveling to Florida and you're doing Walt Disney World and you want to do a food festival, do Flower and Garden. OMG, that menu was amazing. That was, like, when I looked at that this morning, I was like, oh, wow, that is awesome. And I was texting my friend Jen because we love doing the food festivals, and she was like, oh my God, Flower and Garden is it. That is the winner. I was like, absolutely. It's not Food and Wine this year at California Adventure. I'm sorry. And I've been saying that for years on the channel. It's a hit or miss. Some years it's really good at California Adventure, and then other years it's just total garbage. And I think this year is going to be a big L for California Adventure. Flower and Garden, though, that's a winning event. They had like lobster, they have sushi, they have different like steak, and of course a bunch of drinks. It's amazing. And if you've never been to Flower and Garden, it's top tier. I love Flower and Garden Festival. It's been a couple years since I've been, so I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that I can make it out for Flower and Garden here. in the next couple months. I personally think that the Boysenberry Festival here in Southern California, when it comes to our theme park festivals, is going to be the winner. Boysenberry Festival at Knott's Berry Farm is always really, really good. The value's there, the portion sizing is huge, and their entertainment is off the chain. So I think, without even looking at their menu this year, because I have no idea what their menu is for Boysenberry Festival for this season, I can already guarantee that it's going to be better than Food and Wines Festival. Yeah, the menu just disappointing at California Adventure. So I'm looking forward to Boysenberry Festival. And if you've never been to Boysenberry Festival at Knott's Berry Farm, I highly recommend it. It's really good. And they do include beverages on their tasting lanyards. So overall, it's a good value. Now, speaking about food, let's jump back over to Florida, because at Epic Universe, they're going to have a bunch of food there too. All the restaurants and inside the worlds, all the quick service places. Universal just showed off a bunch of those items. Not everything, but a nice handful of them. And I am so excited to try everything. Well, almost everything. There's some things that I probably won't try just because I personally don't like them, but there's a lot that I cannot wait to dive into. And one of them being at the Atlantic restaurant, which is the park seafood restaurant. I believe they're going to have steak there as well, but it's predominantly a seafood place because the setting is in like a Victorian aquarium. It's really cool looking. And then another one of the restaurants that I'm really stoked for is also in Celestial Park. That's Blue Dragon. It's going to have a lot of Asian items. And you know me and the Asian food, I love it. I love ramen. I love dumplings. I love everything. So I'm going to be living at both of those restaurants, the Blue Dragon and Atlantic. Of course, I'm excited about the food in Dark Universe. All of it looks really good. I'm a huge fan of skewers, and they have chicken skewers and steak skewers at Das Steakhouse. And then the Burning Blade Tavern, I mean, come on. That's a go-to. Everyone is going to be at the Burning Blade Tavern. So I can imagine that the wait for the Burning Blade Tavern is going to be like 6 hours long, and it's going to be totally worth it. Because the fact that you'll be able to walk in, interact with some characters, have a beer or whatever, and enjoy the ambiance, while also knowing that above you, a windmill is going to be on fire. I mean, that is cool. That's so cool. And this is another, like, I hope that Epic Universe stays open late, like, at least till like 10 or 11. So it'll give us all the opportunity to enjoy these things, to watch the windmill burst into flames at night while eating a pretzel or enjoying a beverage, walking around the park, enjoying the outdoor seating in some of these areas. I think it's going to be really, really cool at night. So I hope that the park stays open a little bit later than what usually Islands of Adventure and Studios stay open, because Islands of Adventure and Studios, sometimes they close at like 8 o'clock. I'm like, oh, like, at least push it to 10. That would be nice. So I really hope that that's the case for Epic Universe, because it just seems like there's so much that I need to see at night. And Das Steakhouse and, well, not Das Steakhouse, but the Burning Blade Tavern and Dark Universe as a whole which is one of those places I really want to see at night. And then as far as the other worlds with food, yeah, I mean, solid. I think How to Train Your Dragon is going to have some really good food options. I'm really intrigued about the bowls that are, they're not at the Mead Hall restaurant, which is the main quick service location in How to Train Your Dragon, but it's this other location that's near the front of the world that's going to have bowls very similar to Satu'li Canteen, which it looks like they're very similar to Satu'li Canteen and Animal Kingdom. So they have like a chicken one, a shrimp one, I think a steak bowl. And you pick your protein, you have your base, very similar to like Chipotle or Cava or anything like that. So I think that's going to be another one of my go-tos. And then in the Wizarding World, the Ministry of Magic, I think that's going to be another really nice spot to grab coffee or a pastry or anything like that, and then sit on the street and just enjoy. I think that's going to be a really good spot to do that in, because the scale in the Wizarding World is insane. I mean, Universal has said that it's like Diagon Alley, but way bigger. So the fact that it's going to look like we're in Paris, and then the thought of me just like having a coffee or a pastry or whatever, walking down those streets, like it's going to feel like I'm back in Paris. And I think that's going to be a huge winning moment for Universal, especially when it comes to their quick service locations in that world. Yeah, just sitting at the cafe. Like, could you imagine that? I mean, we're not going to really be imagining for too much longer, because we'll be experiencing it. in the next few months because the park opens up May 22nd. But I think that is going to be so just magical in itself that we're going to feel transported, just sitting there and enjoying the ambiance. So I think all the worlds are going to be great to have a bite to eat in. And then Super Nintendo World, all the food there is pretty much the same that we've seen before in Japan and here in Hollywood. So there's not too many surprises there. And then yeah, Celestial Park, I can't wait to try the bars too. Celestiki, which is the park's tiki bar. You know I'm going to be there. And then there's another bar called Bar Zenith, I believe. And they're going to have like a Cosmopolitan, a margarita, and a few other drinks that look to be frozen. So you know on a hot Florida day, those are going to be perfect. Overall, the foodscape at Epic Universe, I think, is pretty solid. Again, Universal's been working hard to improve their food game, and I think they're doing everything they can to push the boundaries at Epic Universe. So I'm stoked to try it all. And speaking of Epic, I think we're going to be approaching some soft previews here very, very soon. I would not be shocked if Universal announces some AP previews, park previews here within the next month and a half, because it's lining up like how Islands of Adventure worked. Islands of Adventure opened up in May as well, and a couple months prior to its opening, around March, is when they started doing soft previews for the park. And soft previews are great for something like that because it really gets the operations used to a crowd. You know, what's working, what's not working, what can they improve on, what can they change. So yeah, I think there's going to be some soft previews here in the next few weeks. And I mean, that goes for the food too. They want to know what's popular and what's not. And if they can change something really quickly and alter it and swap it out, well, they're going to do that. And soft previews definitely help towards that. I mean, we saw it at Volcano Bay when they opened up Volcano Bay. There were some items at Volcano Bay that were available, and then a few months after opening, they changed it. And yeah, the items that are out Volcano Bay right now are the items that they're going to stick with. So yeah, I'm going to definitely be keeping my eye out for some AP previews here very, very soon. I am an annual pass holder for Universal Orlando Resort, so I would love to get the opportunity to go out there and be in the park as soon as possible. I cannot wait. I'm like stressing out about it. Yes, it's so exciting. This is one of the biggest openings in a long time. The last time a huge theme park on this scale opened up was California Adventure, and I would say that Epic Universe is even bigger than California Adventure at opening. So yeah, this is a huge deal. It doesn't happen often in the industry. Overall, I'm stoked for the summer. I think it's going to be an amazing summer in the industry. Like Epic Universe opening up, there's some a few new things at Walt Disney World. There's a bunch of new things opening up around the country when it comes to roller coasters. So yeah, the coverage hopefully will be insane on the channel. I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that I can visit a lot of places this season. Because yeah, I mean, I feel like I have to. I feel like I need to get out of the SoCal bubble. I've just been stuck in this bubble. I need to leave. So we'll see how everything shapes out. I'm staying positive about it. But as far as today's video, I think it's going to do it. Nice little chill theme park talk video. If you enjoyed it, you could let me know by smashing the thumbs up button. And if you're new to the channel and you love these videos and more, you should consider subscribing because I have brand new videos every single week that you won't want to miss out on. Also, be sure to follow me on X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. Those links will be down below in the description. But until the next video, I hope you have a beautiful day, morning, evening, whatever it is. I'll see you next time in the parks. Bye.